Hi everybody, it's Joshua Barks with Keller Williams Realty Boise and Barks & Co. Real Estate, and coming at you here with our weekly update to the housing market in Ada County, as well as the monthly update, so what happened all of March. So without further ado, let's dive right in. So first, I like to start with the market trends section of the chart, and it really gives us a good overall picture of supply and demand because it's a 12-month rolling of all of the activity levels. So you can see the seasonality of things and what's normal of last year versus what's happening this year. So first, when you look at the red line, which is the number of active listings, we had 683 active listings on the market. And then in February, we had 337 listings on the market. So we actually doubled. And so to the untrained person, they're going to say our inventory numbers have doubled. Things are going crazy. We have way more homes to sell than we have people to buy them. That's not true, because if we look at what happened last year, we had 619 homes on the market. We're 683 this year. We're only up slightly from where we were last year. And last year, inventory was very tight. Next, when we look at the number of sales that actually took place in the month of March, we have 584. So that's this black bar here, 584 sales this March, whereas last March we had 581. So our sales are staying pretty much the same, though the number of pending has gone down significantly. So we had 586 homes go pending, which is more than we had in January and December, our typically slowest months. But as of last March, we had 753 go pending. So you can see that that's really our demand has come down a little bit as, buyers have left the market or decided to go on hold. This is actually really good for anybody that's looking to buy and sell right now because our inventory has been so tight for so long. We can do with a lot more supply and a little bit demand. So now instead of competing against, 10 people for a house on multiple offers, you're probably only going to be competing against maybe two or three because our inventory is still tight. When you look at the absorption rate, so this chart here, and the months of inventory, we're averaging for all of Ada County 1 month supply. We're actually under 2.5 months all the way to $1 million in Ada County. So they say that a seller's market is anything less than 4 months, and a buyer's market is anything greater than 6 months supply. And then balanced is between 4 and 6. And so we're still considered to be a seller's market up to 2.5 months, all the way up to that $1 million mark. And then in a million plus, we have 5 months supply. So inventory levels have come up there, which makes sense for what's happened in the global economy and the stock market and things. Those upper end prices are the ones that are going to get hit the most. So demand is staying pretty stable there. Our days on market actually went down to 25 from 26. So not much of a change, fairly stable. Then when you're looking at the average sold price historically, so what's happened since January 1 of this year, well, our average sales price has come up 2.8% to 372,000 and change. So last month in February, we had 1.7% increase. And as of March, we had 2.8%. So my prediction for the end of May is still going to remain the same, where I'm anticipating us coming up in the average sold price around 5% by the end of May. Then my prediction for what's going to happen in April of 2020, based on what we're seeing here in the market trends, I do anticipate the number of listings, so this active listing 683 number, to either remain fairly stable or increase. And then the number of sales, I actually expect to increase just slightly, and the number of pendings to increase just slightly, rather than what we saw last April, because that was when we were peaking last year, April, May. May being that 1,000 homes went under contract in the month of May. April 940, March 753. So far this year, February had more pendings than March, which is understandable, and it's still seemingly pretty good time to buy or sell because our market, we just are competing with a slightly fewer people, but we are still seeing listings sell with multiple offers, and that 25 days on market is a really good indicator. of things still moving quickly overall. So then we'll dive into the local numbers by week, and which gives us the week over week. So last week we had 648 homes that were available on the market, and 183 new listings between March 27th and the 2nd of April. This week we only have 533, and 93 new listings hit this last week. So the number of inventory has come down a little bit, which is expected. And then the number of pending sales is actually staying pretty stable overall. Last week we had 618 total pending, and 126 of those went pending last week. This week we have a total of 501, which seems like a lot less, but that's because of homes actually selling. We had 121 that went under contract this last week. So 126 versus 121, down just slightly on the number of pending. So that's really our demand there that we're tracking. Then when you look at the number of homes sold, we had the bulk of sales happen the end of the month, which is almost always true. So 161 sold last week, and this week for the beginning of the month, we had 83 sell. So that's really what's happening locally. Inventory has come down a little bit. Demand is staying pretty much the same as where we've been, kind of week over week, though slightly down. And yeah, things are still hanging in there pretty consistently. So really when it comes down to, are you thinking about buying or selling? When is the best time? Again, it's really these two questions. Do you have a good enough reason to move? And if so, can you afford it? So if you answer yes to both of those questions, just contact us. We're happy to help uncover what's going to work best for you and your specific situation in this market, because every home and every person and the individual financial situation, what's happening with employment and things like that, it all is very situational and individual. So I'd love to talk to you on an individual basis, and that's kind of a wrap on what we have happening overall for Ada County's existing home market. All right, so there we have it. Stay tuned for next week's video with our weekly update, and then of course next month with our monthly update. And if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in the near future, it really comes down to those two questions. Do you have a good enough reason to buy, sell, or invest right now? And can you afford it? So if you've answered yes to both of those questions, please reach out to me. I'd love to meet with you either in person or virtually to discuss your unique situation and how the market overall is going to be affecting that. That being said, it's never too early to start planning and reaching out to a real estate professional so you can figure out what's going on out there and how that affects your decision process. That way you can make the best decision on what your next steps are and when those might take place for you, depending on your situation and your goals. So my number is 208-914-1095, or feel free to email me, of course, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.